What's that? Oh, thank you.
Should have been like all on your face.
I know. Normally it's like really close. It's good though.
Good distance.
Yeah.
Mmm. Oh, that's a good piece of chest.
Yeah, kind of. Got a viewer.
All right, one viewer.
We are in business, people.
We're in business. Who's that? Man, it's gonna be hard to see. Oh, it's Mark.
Hey, Mark.
What's up, Marky Mark?
What's going on, guys? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Look who's here.
It's been a minute.
What's up?
It's awesome.
So how have you been?
Awesome.
You've been awesome?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yes. Yeah, busy. That's why I haven't been here. And, man, thanks to Angel. Angel's just been holding it down.
You got stuck on mine.
Angel's been holding it down on Thursday nights, which is awesome. And we've been doing some cool talks with different people, too. Sonia and Michelle last week. So.
What you're doing, I mean, tell them what you're doing. You gotta tell them. Because it's amazing. Like, this would be the only reason why I would be okay with her not being here. Because this is amazing. Like, what an opportunity.
Yeah, well, this year, I mean, life has just been a whirlwind this year. This year's been a really magical, miraculous year. So let me say that first. I've actually taken on leading a personal development company here in San Antonio. So I'm leading the San Antonio and Austin area right now, and
and everything in between.
Yeah, everything in between. Absolutely. We have people that are actually coming from Dallas for the next class that we're getting ready to host in August. So Angel and I have talked to you about it before, and I've just had the privilege of actually getting to partner with the company and be an ambassador of sorts for the work that they're doing. And I really, truly believe in the work. It has magically and miraculously impacted my life in the last year, and I couldn't be happier about the people that I've gotten to connect with and build relationships with. So that's where I've been, and it does keep me away sometimes on a Thursday night. So I'm sad to not see you guys every Thursday night. However, I know Angel's holding it down, and Angel's always got really good stuff to share. So it's cool.
Yeah, I'm very proud of her. I'm excited for her. It's been amazing. I really am.
Thank you.
Because I do believe in the work that the company does, and it's amazing work. We've told you about the class before, and I just talked to Ida yesterday, so she was like, okay, I got to do the class. When's the next?
Ida!
So Ida, I know you're going to be watching this later. Get on the class. We got to give her the next. What are the next dates?
So the next dates for the class that I and the company that I'm working with, the class that we're hosting is August the 4th to the 6th, and it's actually going to be right here in San Antonio. I'm just so excited for what's happening and the people that are coming in and being impacted by this in a positive way. There's massive transformation that happens in people's lives in just 3 short days. Yeah. So you've heard us talk about it before. Angel and I are both products of that work, and Angel's got some cool stuff happening in his life too, and it's not accidental, it's not coincidental. It's actually all methodically planned out because there's just things he's doing in his life that he's utilizing that are working.
Hey Tori, the company's called The New Game, and there's people coming in from Dallas, but the next class is going to be here in San Antonio, bro. So if you want to know about it, get in touch with me, get in touch with Jody. Yeah. We'll send you the information. It's amazing work. So earlier today, topic of relationships keeps coming up. Yeah. It's one of the most popular ones. People care about their relationships.
Well, we're on a planet with billions of people. We kind of bump into each other every now and then, so relationships are a real part of our existence. So it would be hard to get away from.
I agree. No. A little bit, yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Karina. I'm the owner.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Cool.
I'm Jody.
We tagged you we checked in for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you just chatting about us a little bit? About what you're doing?
Yeah, we're chatting about what we're doing.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
That was the owner. You can say hi. Pop in and say hi. So we're here with each other. We're here to live with one another, right? That's what you were kind of saying.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are part of our existence. Like, how can you even escape not having communication about relationships? Because we're built for relationships, all kinds. You know, we are created in a way that we're supposed to connect.
Yeah.
So it would be hard to not have a conversation about relationships.
Yeah, I mean, and what I've noticed, and now that you're more involved with the company, like, you can probably speak on this better than me, but what I notice is that some of the biggest issues and some of the biggest, like, goals that people have is either going to be a money goal, a financial goal, or a romantic relationship goal. I don't know if you would agree with that, but
I would say that my experience has been that there are people who are rocking it in one area of their life while some of the other areas lag behind and suffer a little bit. So yeah, sometimes there are people who come in and in their career, in the wealth part of their life, they're just absolutely knocking it out of the park. And then relationship-wise, not so much, you know, and that comes in with, like, balancing things out and learning how to do that. Or
vice versa.
They're amazing at connecting with people and building relationships and having authentic connections. And then other areas, like maybe their physical health, or even in their own leadership, like, those are just places where they don't give as much attention. So yeah, it takes some energy.
We're already getting questions.
Oh, good.
So my friend told you, remember when we were at that Starbucks and you were like, Angel's just saying hi to somebody because he knows
yeah.
like, well, that's him.
Oh.
So it's under, he's saying, like, how do we develop our relationships and how do we balance those? Like what you were saying about balancing the different things in our lives, you know? And I would say developing your relationship starts with you.
Absolutely.
Developing a relationship with yourself first.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say that
I agree.
If you're constantly going outside of yourself, in other words, if it's about, you know, that having a relationship, number one, is the thing that's going to make you feel fulfilled. If someone else is where you're looking for your fulfillment or your wholeness, your connection, any of that stuff, you're going at it backwards. Because what ends up happening a lot of times is that we're so looking for our answer, our joy, our happiness, our peace, our love, all outside of ourselves. And so when we do that, then we have to trust that someone else has our answer, has our love, has our peace, has our joy. And when they disappoint us, we feel heartbroken, we feel let down.
Broken,
And
empty.
so it really starts with you. It starts with me, and that is a concept that a lot of people say, oh yeah, I know that.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it. And my response here is, well, you know, how profound is it to come from I already know and your life isn't any different?
Yeah.
You know, so you can have an idea about something, even be aware of it mentally, and yet not have an experience of it. So if you really haven't experienced having that kind of connection with yourself, where you love yourself, you know, in looking at your relationships and looking at your wealth and looking at your life, a lot of times when we talk to people, it's like, well, how would you rate yourself? On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say you are in this space in your life? So even in relationships, like, where would you say you are? You know, like I said, maybe you're a 10. Maybe your relationships are great. You're very
rocking it.
Yeah, you're connected. You're connected to others. You're connected to yourself. And then it's like lagging in another area, or vice versa.
Well, I mean, also too, is like I always tell people, like, become the person you want to be with. Become the person you want to, because the truth is the other person doesn't really exist. The only way I can experience me is through the other person. So if something's happening, if something's bothering me, I really have to look at me. What is it about what you're doing that is triggering in me something that I may not have healed, or past pain, or something that is what they call my shadow side, you know? So the truth is become who you want to be with.
Yeah.
And he says, even when we got broken, do we have to work on still being open to trust?
Well, you know, that's so trust. You know, trust is another. It's just all.
Huge.
Listen, everything that you guys are thinking about, and even that I personally consider about my connection with others, trust is such a big one, right? Trust is one of those things where in our relationships it can really hang us up, or it can really destroy things between us and other people if we have challenges with trust. And sometimes we'll be in a room and somebody, you know, speaking would say, you know, who in here has trust issues? And everybody raises their hands. And there's something that's happened along the way in most people's lives, somewhere along the way where they've find themselves in a place of like, I just don't know if I can trust this or if I can trust people. There are people that don't know if they can trust God,
Right.
you know, and so it's even spiritual that there's people that just are in a place that's hard to trust because they've been let down so many times. And again, it comes back to learning to trust yourself. One of the things that is really critical in relationships and trusting other people is if you're trusting someone else, again, if you're putting
Going outside of
responsibility
you.
in their space to make you happy, to give you the love that you're looking for, to fulfill you in some kind of way, you are setting yourself up to be let down.
Yep.
Because that other person or circumstance or situation, doesn't matter what it is, cannot be that to you. It has to come from you. And again, this is stuff that is kind of hard to like really get into in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
However, it's a concept that is worth talking about. It's worth having a conversation over because many people, I've heard people say, you know, gosh, I've been so heartbroken. And I'm thinking, well, what happened that you were in a space where your heart was broken, you know, and it'll usually be something tragic, like, you know, there was unfaithfulness, or there was lying, or there was distrust. There were things that broke the connection, so to speak. And it happens. It's real.
I would say that your heart was never broken. I mean, a heart cannot be broken. I would say, if anything, your expectations were broken. And so what I would say when it comes to trust is like, where are you putting your trust? Like you were saying, are you putting it somewhere outside of you? Are you putting it on the circumstances? Are you expecting the circumstances to remain the way you think they should be, instead of seeing the reality? A lot of times we're living life with a concept that's in here versus what's actually happening out here. And when what happens out here doesn't match the concept that we have in here, that's when we get let down and we get heartbroken, etc., etc., etc. But it's like, where are you putting your trust? I don't put my trust in circumstances. I put my trust in my truth, in the truth of who I am. I often refer that to, like, do you think you're a human being, or do you think you're a spiritual being? Or are you a human being looking for a spiritual awakening, or you're a spiritual being having a temporary human awakening? Well, if you put your trust in the human experience and only that, you're going to be disappointed all the time. Because the human experience is nothing but a vessel of truth.
Yeah.
You know, what Jody's in my life, not just because we're friends, but she's taught me something. She brought me spiritual truth to my life, and vice versa. I trust the spiritual truth. I don't trust the physical experience. And so we put so much focus on the physical experience that this relationship, like my wife, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, should be this, and it should last this long. Don't put your trust there. Put your trust in the spiritual truth.
Yeah.
And you say, do you think that people struggle with self-reflection? Yeah, they don't. That people don't see themselves. People don't see who they are because, well, there's a quote that I really like, and I got it from Criminal Minds. I love Criminal Minds. I'm on season 12 right now.
I haven't even been here on Thursday night, guys, and we're back to
Criminal Minds. It's back on. Well, he says, you will never understand human nature until you understand why a child in a merry-go-round waves at his parents every time he goes around, and the parents wave back. And even though it's a quote, I take it as a riddle. And so I often ask it as a riddle. And people are like, I don't know, because he loves his parents, or I don't know, like, try, I don't know. There's all kinds of answers. And the truth is, he wants to be seen. Hey, mom, dad, can you see me? Hey, mom, dad, can you see me? And the parents wave back to say, yes, son, or yes, daughter, we see you. They validate and they reassure him that they do see him. But what happens when you weren't seen? What happens when your parents were too busy trying to figure themselves out, try to fulfill their own personal lives, and they didn't see you? Then you're going to go out into the world and you're going to hopefully a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Are you going to see me? No, you don't see me? Okay, I'm going to go to work. Maybe my boss will see me. Do you see me? No, you don't see me? Okay, well, maybe my hobbies. Maybe somebody will see me there. And what you'll see is you're going to stay and you're going to put a lot of value where you're seen the most. Because you don't see yourself, because you weren't taught to see yourself. So.
Yeah, you know, self-reflection, I think, is a challenge because of the fact that if we take a look at ourselves, then we have to take responsibility for what we're creating in our life. And sometimes taking a look is a scary thing. And in fact, it's a conversation that I have often with people that, you know, taking a look at yourself and really dealing with yourself sometimes is it's scary because you don't know what you're going to find, you know, or you've just ignored it for so long, and it's easier to just blame relationships that have failed, to blame your parents, to blame your culture, to blame where you came from, and all these other things that we put out there, like, if this were like this, then I could have this. If this relationship were like this, then I could be happy. It's always conditional. Things are so conditional, and
Something
it's hard.
else needs to happen. Something
Yeah.
more, something better, something different, and then I'll be.
Yeah, and then it'll all be okay.
Right.
So, self-reflection is a big deal, and there are healthy ways to do that, and there are ways that really can trap you. So that's a whole nother conversation, really,
Well, you're getting really
honestly.
good questions. He says, do you think people run from their pain instead of embracing and accepting pain and learning from it? Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, and I think that in my experience, this is just my experience, so please take that for what it is. In my experience, there have been things that I have subjected myself to over and over and over again, and then wondered as I would go through it, like, how did I get here? How did this happen again? And it didn't feel good, and it wasn't enjoyable, and it hurt, and it was uncomfortable, and relationships were broken, and all that kind of stuff happened, and then I had to do some self-reflecting, and then I had to find out what it was that was actually putting me back in those situations over and over again, so that I could deal with it and acknowledge it, and then move through it and past it. So there is some value in actually acknowledging the things that have happened, like acknowledging the pain, right? And not constantly pushing it down and being like, it's going to be okay. We do that in our society a lot. Like, oh, don't
Putting
cry.
on the face.
Don't cry, it's okay, instead of letting people feel and letting people, have
Or
their
boys
emotions.
don't cry.
Yeah, all that stuff. And then there's the trap of living in your emotion, like just living in that all the time, and it's always miserable.
To
and there's
extremes.
pain. Yeah, so it's that pendulum can be swung
Oh my
to
goodness.
extremes in your life over and over again. So it's important to acknowledge things that are happening in your life, and if there's a painful circumstance or situation, certainly acknowledge it. And I am not in any way saying that in relationships that people don't do things that are hurtful and harmful. So I want to be clear about that, because it's possible for you to be in a relationship that's mentally, physically, emotionally abusive.
Of course.
That is creating pain, and I would say figure out what it is that's attracting you to that situation and remove yourself. So I'm definitely not saying that this is an excuse for you to stay in something that's not healthy or that's toxic for you. I am, however, saying that there are things that move us and push us in certain areas of our life, and until we look at ourselves and until we're willing to get real with ourselves about why this happens or how did I end up here again, especially if you notice it's a cycle in your life, there's something behind it that's kind of directing that over and over again.
I call it the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Get off the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
And at the same time, what is your relationship? Speaking about relationships, what is your relationship with pain? What is your relationship with the struggle and the conflicts that come up in relationships, in life, or whatever? Because going back to the idea that our physical experience is only a vessel for truth, if you think that your circumstances are the only truth, you're going to struggle. You're going to go from that pendulum, from one end to the other. Like Tony Robbins calls it the crazy A pattern. You go from one end to the other end, that one end to the other end. Instead, why, like Jody was saying, why am I here? Why is this happening in my life? Do some self-reflection and figure out. It doesn't matter how toxic it is, or how horrible, or how healthy it is. You're there for a reason. Get the lesson, then move on from it. But also, too, if you think pain and conflict and struggle is bad, like they call it bad, well, you're always going to be running from it. It all depends on what were you taught, what were you shown, what's your relationship to that,
That's why I said before, relationship is a topic that you can bring up all day long, every day, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be about you and people. It can be about you and pain, like Angel's bringing up, you and your emotions. It can be you and your purpose. It can be you and the money that you make. It can be you and anything else on the planet, because you're in relationship with a lot of things and a lot of different people and a lot of different kinds of relationships. So relationship is such a big topic, and it's really important. It's part of our existence. So it'd be hard to get away from.
My friend Brenda says, how do you get off the merry-go-round?
Well, I would say first recognize that you are on the merry-go-round.
Boom! Like my daughter would do. Boom, 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 boom. Dabbing.
Yeah, because if you don't even know that you're on it, you're never going to get off of it.
Off.
And then I would say, there are tools like what we're talking about, self-reflection and being aware, like, oh my gosh, this is a pattern, this is a cycle in my life. Because even in self-reflection, you can get yourself stuck in cyclical thoughts as well. Even in just evaluating where you are, because you yourself have not had, you haven't brought in new information into your experience. Right. And it's like I tell people, what you already know has gotten you exactly where you are. Yep. So if you want to shift where you are and you want something new, you've got to take in some new information and have a new experience. So you got to take the information and create a new experience, which I love because it's what I get to do now. It's the kind of work I get to do. So there's tools available where you can actually evaluate and go, okay, this is where I am. And I'll tell you what's so great about that question is how to get off the merry-go-round is you have to acknowledge that you're on the merry-go-round, right? You have to go, this is my point A. So if I want to get to point B, I have to know where my point A is.
And what do I got to do now?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I would say acknowledge where you are. That's how you start to get off the merry-go-round.
And Einstein, when he had like a mastermind group back in the day, where they were trying to figure out things, things that we know now, but back then they were doing experiments and they were trying to figure out how the electrons behave the way they did. And they approached that question from every angle that they knew how. And they got nowhere. Because the limited knowledge that they had a lot of knowledge, don't get me wrong, but it was still limiting because knowledge is limiting. So if I keep approaching this situation with the same frame of thought that got me in trouble in the first place, it's not going to get me out of it. So they had to decide, okay, we're going to have to throw away everything we know. We have to throw away the way we think and look at this from a completely different perspective. And then it's like that's the reason coaching programs work. That's why a coach works. Even a good friend who has some wisdom helps because they're able to see it from the outside, from a totally different perspective, and show you at an alternative way. That's why it works. So for some people that are scared of coaching programs or are scared of spending the money, you're gonna be paying a higher price not doing it than doing it.
Yeah, well, it's like what you said. There's so much value in getting different perspective, another observer in the situation, someone else who can see it from a place maybe that's higher or different or better or whatever than where you are. Because sometimes when you're in it, it's just really hard to see where you are. You can get really discombobulated by your circumstances. And
Well, Maggie says in placing. Hello, Maggie. How you doing, my friend? She says on self-reflection, placing blame on your partner or other doesn't allow you to truly understand or acknowledge your patterns. So true, because again, you're putting it on somebody else.
And I can tell you that blaming, shaming, or justifying anything, any situation, any relationship, any circumstance really doesn't give you the space to move past it, which is exactly kind of what you're sharing. So yeah, no, it's true. It doesn't allow you to take responsibility.
My friend Chris, he gives a reference to a food menu.
Oh yeah.
He says that I lost it. He says when it comes to food, there's a static and a cycle menu. Do you want to eat the same thing over and over, or do you want to eat something different? Cycles menu are better. And then I think there's more to it, but it doesn't let me see it. So yeah, I guess that's a wrap. Man, you guys have been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been so fun.
It's been so cool. Like, I really appreciate all your questions. They gave us something to talk about. Because we were just going to wing it. Like we usually do.
Well, I heard Angel was coming here and having coffee. Texted me earlier.
Yeah, she's like, I'll show up.
Just kidding. Yeah, no, it was great to be with you guys this Thursday. We have some things that'll be coming up in the future. One of the reasons that Angel and I are together tonight is because we are actively preparing for our 2018 Global Community Day, and you guys are going to be hearing more and more about that. Last weekend was a wonderful success.
Oh, man, it was awesome.
Angel and Michelle put together an awesome community event. It was awesome, and people came out and supported and participated. It was so great. And then next week I'll be putting some information out tomorrow, it looks like, on an new unbudget money workshop that I have a wonderful friend from Phoenix who's coming in
Nice.
this week, and she is going to do it for free, guys. So I'll get the details out, and you can participate. She's going to.
You should do it live for people.
I will.
Since it's free.
I will, and I'd love for you to be there in person if you can. If you're in the San Antonio area, I'll make sure the details are out there. It's going to be about an hour and a half, and she promises to give some good tools. I think at least 3 great tools that you can use in making some decisions about your money that you feel great about. So that's exciting, and yeah, so.
I guess one final thought would be that I put a post earlier today about relationships, and I put the little hearts, the little Valentine's Day candy, and I said that probably one of the truest statements that anybody could have told you. Like, if you're not in a relationship with this person anymore, and they use the excuse of like, it's not you, it's me. Well, that's true, because everything that we've said is about taking responsibility. It's about understanding that, again, the other person doesn't exist, that is really you. So that's probably one of the truest thing he or she ever told you.
Right.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Because it is you.
Yes, it's all me.
It's all me. Thank y'all. We love you. Take care.
Happy Thursday.